Hi, you've reached the Talking Racewalking podcast. It's all about racewalking, of course. It's talking to racewalkers from around the world about racewalking. Join me, Noel Payne, a amateur racewalker in Canada, as I talk to elites, Olympians, record holders, masters walkers, and anybody who's out walking as fast as they can. Hi, so this is a section where I'd actually be talking to someone, a race walker. So this is where you can come in. If you know a race walker, you're a race walker, and you have an amazing story, I want to hear from you. So reach out, let's chat, let's get walking and talking. Hey guys, it's another rewind episode of Talking Racewalking. This time we're going back a couple years, and I was talking to Wayne Snyman, South African race walker, and this is a conversation when I was really just a runner, hadn't really discovered racewalking. So welcome to another rewind episode, and please strap in, plug in, and enjoy this chat with a race walker. Hi, and welcome to the Runningdad Podcast. It's been a little bit of an interlude for my last podcast, but I am back. It's a podcast about running, healthy, active living, with a focus on being positive and mental health as well. So I am Noel Payne, runner, father, and now a race walker, and I live in the capital of Canada. So enjoy the podcast. Welcome to another Runningdad podcast, and like I've said before, it's turning into a race walking dad podcast. So I'm enjoying talking to race walkers. I hope you have as well. I've got another one on today. His name is Wayne Snyman. He is a father, a teacher, a Olympian race walker, all around nice guy from South Africa, and he's here today to talk to us. And we're going to talk race walking, the pandemic, how to stay positive, and just have a good time. So plug those earbuds in, turn up the volume, and let's get going. Welcome to another Runningdad podcast, and this time I've got someone not from Canada, not from the United States, way across the waters. I've got Wayne Snyman from South Africa with me today. Welcome, Wayne.
Yeah, mate. Thank you very much for hosting me. It's a pleasure to be on.
I love this. This is an opportunity for me to connect with runners and race walkers. And I guess the electronic, the modern age has made it so much easier. So I'm glad to have you on board, and let's do some chatting. Let's talk race walking and what's been going on in 2020. So to start off with, how have you been dealing with the whole pandemic? How's training going?
Yeah, currently at this stage, I'm actually taking a rest. I'm taking September off. We were training, my coach and I, my coach is Robert Heff. I don't know if you know who he is, Robert Heffernan.
Yeah,
so,
very good race walker.
Yeah, so we actually trained up until end of August. So we kind of trained like we are going to the Olympics still. I know it was a couple of weeks on, but I actually got ill for 2 weeks. So we postponed the race, if I can say that, for 2 weeks. So I had to race on the 8th of August. So I raced on the 23rd or 24th, my time trial. So currently I'm just in a relaxing state, just no training, just taking the mind off things, because I think mentally this year was absolutely horrifying, tough. Prior to that, my training was actually pretty good.
Nope, I'm losing you a bit there, Wayne. You
South
still
Africa
there?
went into a very, very strict lockdown
Okay.
for about, say, 5 weeks. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
I can see you now.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so that, yeah, I don't know what's going on. My Wi-Fi, I'm sitting exactly still. I don't move, so I know my Wi-Fi is the best here. So that's why I'm here.
No
Yeah,
problem.
so South Africa went into a 5-week very strict lockdown, and we couldn't really move out of our houses. So I kind of had a static bike training and a bit of running around the house and gymming whatever I can situation, and that was very tough. So for 5 weeks for me, minimal, absolute minimal training. But I just came from Europe where I was extremely fit. I just came from winning the race in Ireland, specifically with a 82, I don't know, 82 something. And yeah, so after that, I actually went into training as normal, and then trained to August where I did my time trial. So it was a strange situation, but we kind of handled it exactly like we would have handled it as the best as we can. And small little time trials, small little goals that we constantly focused on. I did 2 5K time trials on my own at altitude, which is horrible. And then a 10K time trial alone at altitude, which was even more horrible. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think most of us can relate from all the elites and even recreational runners have been taking a similar approach, just like you say, doing time trials or trying to pick little goals so that you can maintain some sort of motivation or fitness.
yeah,
It's such a weird vacuum, such a weird situation where pretty much everything you can imagine has been canceled, and the world itself is just a little weird. So it's good to hear that we've all kind of taken the same approach, just doing what we can, trying to stay sane and focused. And that's
yeah,
about all I've been doing on my end over here in Canada too. We
yeah,
didn't have the same kind of lockdown, but still very hard to do anything.
yeah. So, yeah, for the first 5 weeks when we came out of that very strict lockdown, we were only able to train from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Wow.
So I kind of did all the walking training outside at that times, and I did like a home gym, static bike, treadmill type of thing in the afternoons, which at that stage wasn't bad because that was our interscene phase in any way, which we would have taken after World Cup in Belarus. So that was okay. So that actually worked out fine. And then after that, we actually kind of I could have trained. Well, I did train quite normal as I possibly could. I wasn't allowed to go to a track, but at my home, there's a nice 2K, 4K, 6K, 8K loop, which I could do most of my training in. So it was okay. It wasn't as specific as you would be, actually going into normal blocks. But I did 5 or 6 25s. I did 30K. I did very good time trials. The 5K time trial the first one was 1950 at 1,600 altitude, which is not bad. And then so that's not bad. And the second one was 1948, which was okay. Yeah, so it wasn't bad. It's just it's not ideal. I think it kept me mentally strong, but some stages was bad. Yeah, it's hard to train when you know there's nothing to train for. So I think that was the toughest of every single thing I had to do. So yeah, and people constantly contacted me how I stay positive. I think that helped a lot because you could feel the strain of everyone else, if that makes sense.
It does.
Um, and then you're not alone in the situation, and it makes it a little bit easier to cope with the whole what's going on situation, I think.
No, completely. I agree, Wayne. And I think hearing the fact that, I mean, in Canada, we felt that our restrictions were hard, but hearing where you're only able to train a few hours in the morning, and someone always has it worse. So it always puts things in perspective as well. So,
Yeah,
but once again, yeah, I think considering everything, everybody I've talked to seems to really have a good handle on at least trying to stay positive and just trying to get through this.
yeah.
So how have you dealt with being a dad and a race walker through all this? How has being at home more been?
Yeah,
How's that gone?
I well, my son, I have seen him more now in this last 6 months than I've ever seen him. So that was nice because I literally went to Europe for I think 6 weeks, and I came back. I had to fly back. It was a kind of an emergency thing. The embassy phoned me and said, "Listen, you need to come back. We're gonna go in lockdown. So either you're back in South Africa or outside, but somewhere or another, you're staying where you are." So that was okay. And then, well, his school was closed, and everything here was closed. Absolutely everything closed down. So um, it was nice some days. I think it's very hard some days because my son is very, very, very busy. So I had to constantly figure stuff out to keep him busy, and which makes it difficult. But I think the first part, I don't know. I started picking up gardening, and I have a massive vegetable garden at this stage. So, and then he actually helped and kept himself busy, and he, well, taught me more patience. Definitely that. So I think that was a good situation, and I think the stress factor for me was always, what happens if someone gets ill here, and I think that was the situation. When his school opened, I think I phoned the pediatrician about 8 times to confirm, is this okay? Is it fine for him to go back? And I think that was okay. And I think once you get over the whole stress situation of, it is bad. It cannot be, well, it's bad for some people. It's not so bad always. So I think that, I think that made it a bit easier to cope. And so he's shouting. So yeah,
As a fellow running dad, I completely understand, and I think it's a very similar situation, good and bad. More time with the family, but
Yeah.
different stresses. And the kids here are just going back to school in Canada, so
yeah.
completely understand there. It's a lot of stress just because there's so many unknowns.
Mhm.
You really don't know how it's going to go. So
Well, I actually went back now to teaching. I've been teaching now for 6 weeks as well. So my school actually asked me to come back and to help out, and which I gladly accepted because making zero money this year from race walking didn't help the situation. So 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 yeah, I'm glad to be back at school, which is okay. I think for the first 3 weeks it was not nerve-wracking, but I think you're always stressing that you will bring something back. So every day we had this whole, I'm coming into the house, they need to be outside. I take my clothes, wash it first, take a shower, and then I'll say hello to everyone, which was kind of the first 2 weeks. And now I think I come home and I take a shower and then I'll go pick my son up, which is different. Um, I think our country it's handling it quite well. I think our school is handling it quite well. So I think if you see people getting used to, as we say it here, the new normal of living, it gets. I don't think you ease up, but you get more comfortable with putting your mask on, sanitizing your hands, washing your hands. Not like you used to greet people with hands, or I don't know. That's a custom for us South Africans, and fist bumping fellow athletes or something. Now it's just, now it's just doing the elbow bump or saying hi, or just not even pulling down your mask. I don't train with a mask at all, but I'm just saying, I will used to during repetitions I'll stop and chat, but now it's just, race, take a sip and go again. So it's kind of different. It's a weird new normal that we have to get used to now.
yeah, no, I think connecting with you and talking to people like that too, you see that once you start reaching out and talking to other people, especially around the world, we're all facing the same challenges. Different school systems, different languages, different whatever, but it's basically the same struggles. So I think it actually, as much as it's been a horrible situation, I think in a way it has been positive. It showed people what you can do with just a little bit, showing you what's important, and connected people in a certain way as well. So there's some that's
Yeah,
good.
I think yeah, definitely. I think also it made you also you make time for other people, reach out, speak to them, just to let them know that, listen, everyone is taking strain, everyone is having a hard time. I remember the first 5 weeks of lockdown where we couldn't really leave our house. Well, you can, but like really need for food and stuff. So my wife and son didn't leave the house for 5 weeks. I just left the house. I left the house every second week, which was, wow, that was tough. Um,
There's nothing to
I'm a
do.
guy that travel. I'm a guy that travels a lot and need people around me. So I think when you start video calling people or sending them voice notes or just sending a WhatsApp saying, listen, hi, how you doing? It makes you feel, I think, like, as you said, we're all in this together, and it's okay to feel shit once every now and then. Oh, I just said shit.
Yeah, it's
So
all good.
yeah, so I think that's how I eventually dealt with it, and then just trying to stay sane. I think everyone has their own way of to try to stay sane, whatever it is. I think I've watched so much Netflix the last 16 weeks. It's insane. Every single season I've watched, every single episode of everything I wanted to watch, I watched. So that's okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
we're all in the
I
same
think,
boat.
yeah, but yeah, I think being a dad as well. James is 2.5 years old, by the way, and he's extremely busy. So we need to do stuff when he's sleeping, or I'm taking him for the first hour, and then she's doing something, and then she's taking him for an hour, and then I'm doing something. I think that makes it difficult, but it also teaches you, I think, to deal with stuff that you've never dealt before.
It does. My daughter is 5, but I remember those being 2, and it's a very high maintenance age where
Yeah,
it gets better. I mean, enjoy every moment,
yeah,
every year,
yeah,
but as they become more independent,
yeah,
you're able to relax a bit more. So yeah, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, been there. Definitely been there.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's tough, and I see there was the race in Lutos. I don't know if you know about it. Yesterday or 2 days ago. So yeah, that wasn't hard to see for me, because I know I would have gone so well, because it's been such a good year. But and then you think of, you know what, it's okay. I've spent, I think, I don't know how long has it been, 170 days in a lockdown for us. That's a lot of quality time that you actually get to spend with your family that you don't always get to. So, I don't know. There's positives and negatives, and I'm try to see the positive at this stage. It's getting better lockdown wise, but now I'm teaching again full time, and when I start training again now, October, that's gonna be very, very strenuous. Waking up 4 a.m. is never fun at
No,
all.
no, I can't imagine. I've talked to enough over the years. I mean, I've been a runner for 30 plus years, and I know I've taken up race walking, but talking to Olympians, every sport, often I don't think people really realize the amount of time and effort that is put in, and the long days, and you get to understand why people do it full time, because it's so much training, and when you're not training, you're basically eating and resting.
Yeah,
So it's a tough go.
yeah. It's last year when I trained for Doha, I was actually working full time. So
Wow.
um, yeah, I had a very good year. Don't get me wrong. My training was fantastic. I just think my timing, stress wise, for Doha was a bit out. So except for Doha, I did not have one bad race last year, and this year I took absolutely time off. I took a sabbatical from work to train full time, and the if you see the difference in recovery, it's absolutely monumental. I think that's that's the huge part for training for me. Anyone can train hard. It's easy to train hard. It's a hard session. So you pitch up, your body is ready. But it's that recovery, as you now said, pretty much sleep and eat. It's all we did this year. When I went to Europe, I would train hard in the morning, come back, eat massive, watch one episode of series, then sleep, because that's what you need to do. And when I raced, I felt completely in control, completely rested. It was so easy to walk on 82, which is just crazy.
Fast. That's fast.
So, but in last year for me too, I did 83, 82, 83, 81, 80, and then a couple of 81. So the amount of stress that your body is going through, and recovery wise, I think it's much harder last year than it was this year. So and now trying to figure out what's 2021 going to be. I don't know what to do. That's the situation. I think that's mind-boggling. So I think I think everyone is kind of in that boat with the Olympics and what to expect, and so.
Well, like I say, we're all in the same boat. Yeah, and 2021 is still a little bit up in the air. But from what I've seen too, you're still very fit. I mean, looking for anybody that doesn't know Wayne, I did a bit of an intro before our podcast started, our chat, but still very impressive personal bests. You're looking at like under 20 and a lot of my listeners are runners. So for telling someone that you're able to walk under 20 minutes for a 5K is mind boggling for most folks. You've got a 20K of like 120. So that pace for most of us, even sort of a recreation or competitive race walkers, that's an insane pace. I've only been race walking for under a year and went from going where 7-minute kilometers was trying to figure out the technique, and now I just did an 8K training walk at like 5:20 pace. So I've been able to progress quickly, but I find it fascinating and challenging, because race walking isn't merely being fit and having the VO2 and ability to push hard, because if the technique's not there, you can't go hard. It's actually, as a runner, I find it really frustrating, because I can run relatively fast, but I'm still going out there and race walking hard and finding that I'm not at my peak, because I want to push harder, but my technique's holding me back. So it's interesting.
I actually had a interview 2 days ago, and it was the same question kind of. And we're the only sport who gets disqualified for trying too hard. So, so it kind of sucks, because you have so much more to give, but it's kind of a touch and go for the technique. And for us, I think focus for us is the main thing, because you could feel fantastic and your technique looks absolutely crap. So, and that's the problem. But I think that's majority of our training as well. I think that's what me and Rob has been focusing on. The morning sessions would be very, very hard and tough and pushing really limits. And then the afternoon, it's not like it's a session that is so important physically wise, but mentally you have to go out. And then we would slow down, do a bit of repetitions, very short, but focus on training, focus on technique, which is completely different than what I'm used to. So it teaches you to be tired, and also just to focus and maintain a technique, which is completely different. I saw this in a race this year. I usually do a 3 or a 5 or a 10 or something before a big race at 20, and I pitched up a bit late in Europe, a bit later than I wanted visa wise, so I had to postpone a 5K that I was planning. So I pitched up 20K first race, so I'm a bit rusty, and the first 3K I got 2 warnings, and which is bad, but it's the first race of the season, so I wasn't too concerned. And immediately I could switch on technique wise because of that training, that type of training. So it is something that you need to practice. It's something that you need to teach yourself to think differently when you know your technique is going out. And specifically for you being an ex-runner, I love running. I used to do cross country and loads of distance running, but the thing is about running is you physically just focus on, you know what, when it hurts or just striding or getting, where race walking is different.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main point for us during specific training sessions. You get to a fitness level where you're comfortable with your technique, or you need to really, really focus some days on your technique. Like you said, you can go faster, but you don't know if your technique's going to handle it. So it's just something that you need to focus on always. And I think that's what makes race walking, so difficult to do, and specifically professional. You can go to 19.9 Ks and you get a DQ the last 100 meters, and no one really cares except you.
Yeah, I like it and find it frustrating and challenging at the same time. So I've got a 5K race, probably the only one of 2020. It's only a 5K, but it's judged and sanctioned. But I have that fear being my first official race where I want to push hard, but I don't want to cross that line and lose the technique. So it's really is playing with how hard can you go within your technique ability. So.
Yeah, I think everyone goes through that. I think when I was much younger, I cared about getting really warnings. I don't know. I've raced many races on 2 warnings, and I actually pushed harder and I felt more comfortable. So you look better. So you need to find like a sweet spot or your own pace where you're comfortable. Sometimes walking slower is not the answer. It is where you feel comfortable.
Yep.
So I think for you going into your first 5K race, I think you need to warm up really, really good and just walk and just constantly focus. And then if you feel comfortable, push. They give you a warning. It's part of the race. If you're not on 3, if you're on 2 warnings and you end the 5K, it means you raced well. That means you pushed yourself. So that's good. So if it's not 3, it doesn't count. No one cares. If it's 2 warnings, no one cares. How many cares when you have 3 warnings? That's it. So that's it. Just stay out of the 3 pedals.
Sounds good to me. Good advice. And probably a good way to wrap this up too. We've talked about race walking. We've talked about surviving the pandemic. I got a little advice for my first race. This is perfect. So my last question to you, of course, Wayne, is what are your goals moving into 2021? Have you got anything that you're going after, or beyond 2021? What are the goals for you?
I think 2021 at this stage, I already qualified for Tokyo. I have an automatic sub 81. I'm pretty sure I'll stay in the top 60 of the world, except if something really drastic happens at this stage, which I don't think so. So I think Tokyo is my main goal. The main goal for next year. Everything else is now cancelled, but let's hope there's races in Europe and wherever I can go to get myself sharp enough, which I think there will be. I have a couple of races lined up. Still need to sit with coach and speak where we're going to be and what we're going to do. I know I'm going to go to Europe a couple of times to train with them and to race. I know I have La Coruna, which is pretty much going to be one of the main points because it's fast. All the big boys are going to be there. I think it's a good race to check. Everyone loves that race. It's always good. So I think that's 2021 for me. I don't think there's anything else. All other games and championships has been either moved to 2022 or so I think that's 2021 for me. I just want to get back to training, proper good blocks of training where I can feel comfortable in know that I'm going to race well. I think that's what I did this year pretty good. In my first race, I was really good shape. I hardly tapered and I walked in 82. We were flat out training and I did an 82. So I think I was in sub 80 form. 2022 is a long way to go. I have to say, I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I was thinking of retiring after Tokyo this year. So now it's one more year. And then, of course, 2022 has got Oregon World Champs in.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I like to go to Oregon. So it's Oregon, home of Nike. So it's a place that everyone wants to go to. So I don't know. Let's have the same chat next year this time and ask me 2022's plans.
That's probably a good way to approach things right now. So
yeah, I think taking it step by step. I think the IOC did make an announcement that that Tokyo will be going on, Corona or not Corona. So I think hopefully by then we've got some good news in terms of competition wise and people moving around a bit more freely. Yeah, so I don't know. We will see. I think if Tokyo's on, I'll go definitely. There's no doubt in my mind. Definitely, I'll definitely not back out in that.
Well, sounds good. I'm glad you're staying positive. Enjoy the time teaching. Enjoy your time at home with the little one. And it has been a pleasure chatting, my friend. And I'll be watching for you in the results and in Tokyo.
Yeah, mate. Thank you for the chat. It's always good to catch up and finally have a good chat and meet up. And yeah, I'll be checking you out on social media and how you're going along.
Any advice is always appreciated. All right. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Have a good day. Cheers, mate.
Well, that's it, folks. Another Runningdad podcast wrapped up. Love connecting with positive people out there who are runners and have stories to tell. There's always a story and a reason why people run, and sometimes the running is just an avenue to talking about something else. I'd like to thank those who support me and those who I act as ambassadors for. Outrun Rare, a great organization raising awareness and funds to help fight rare disease. And that, of course, is founded by Dave Proctor, an amazing ultra runner out there. He's in Canada, of course. And moving on next, it's Ice Spike, amazing screw-like spikes you screw into your running shoes that keep you on your feet and training. Then we've got Canada Run Club, an amazing way to connect with the Canadian running community. Namanu tights, native designs that look amazing and completely functional. Check them out. And last of all, if you haven't checked out my book, it's on Amazon, Talking Running. Check it out. So once again, thanks to Outrun Rare, Ice Spike, Canada Run Club, Namanu, and everybody out there who follows me and interacts with me. Stay positive, keep lacing up, and see you out there. That's it, folks. The end of the podcast. No walkers have been harmed in the recording of this podcast. And, of course, at the moment, we have no sponsors or supporters at this point to fund all this amazing podcasting. But if you're out there and have a race walk company that produces some sort of race walk apparel product or something you think race walkers would love, get hold of us. We'd love to have you on board. Give us a holler.